This is CBN NewsWatch.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm George Thomas. Planned Parenthood leaders are calling Georgia's heartbeat bill blatantly unconstitutional. It should be signed, by the way, soon by Georgia Governor Brian Kemp. He applauds the bill, which is considered one of the most restrictive abortion bills in the nation. We stand up for the innocent and speak for those who cannot speak for themselves, the governor said. Our efforts to protect life do not end here. We must work to ease the adoption process, find loving homes for those in foster care system, and protect the aging and vulnerable. Kemp is moving forward with plans to sign the bill despite criticism and a campaign by some in Hollywood to boycott filmmaking in Georgia if he does. With all the activity surrounding abortion at the state level, there's a new push for an old pro-life measure on Capitol Hill. Pro-life lawmakers are fighting to ban abortions after 5 months of pregnancy. As CBN's Abigail Robertson reports, their argument is that babies being aborted feel pain.
Only 7 countries currently allow elective abortions after 5 months of pregnancy, including North Korea, China, and Vietnam. The United States is part of that small group, and Senator Lindsey Graham hopes to change that through the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act.
I think most people, once they know about what we're talking about, that will gain momentum and this will become law.
The bill would restrict abortions on demand after 5 months of pregnancy because of mounting evidence proving babies in the womb feel pain at that stage.
Would ask the opponents of this bill to dispute the fact that anesthesia is provided routinely to a child who is in the 5th month of the pregnancy to protect the child from the pain that would occur to save its life through surgery.
Democrat Senator Richard Blumenthal disputes the research and tells CBN News he believes the bill is a hoax.
Well, the bill as a whole is unsupported by science. It has no foundation in fact, and it violates the Constitution.
There's so much that women aren't told.
According to a Marist poll last month, 66% of all voters want this law passed.
The tide is turning in America, and that Americans are becoming more and more pro-life.
She testified alongside abortion survivor Melissa Oden.
The extreme abortion legislation is worrisome. It's painful.
Some Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee who are running for president skipped the hearing.
It was really telling that they don't want to go on the record and maybe be seen as being so extreme that they would oppose this common sense law, common sense bill that the majority of Americans agree on, even pro-choice Americans.
Foster claims, according to abortion industry studies, health reasons are not why the majority of women seek these abortions.
Their own studies say, in fact, it's not because of fetal anomaly, it's not because of life of the mother, it's because of, in large part, the same reasons why women seek those first trimester abortions. It's issues of finances, it's relationship issues, it's not really feeling ready to handle a pregnancy yet.
Senator Graham says he knows getting the votes in the House and Senate will be tough right now, but he's committed to fight for this over the long haul. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Thanks, Abigail. Senator Bernie Sanders this morning unveiled his revamped Medicare for All bill. The bill would eliminate private insurance and institute a single-payer system managed by the government. The updated version will include long-term care, such as nursing homes, home and community-based care will also be covered. Democratic senators and 2020 presidential candidates Elizabeth Warren, Kirsten Gillibrand, Cory Booker, and Kamala Harris signed on to the bill in support. The bill has 14 Senate co-sponsors in total. Sanders is also seeking Democratic nomination for president in 2020. It's day 2 on Capitol Hill for Attorney General William Barr answering questions about the Mueller-Russia report during a Senate Appropriations Subcommittee meeting today. He briefly spoke about the Justice Department's budget before fielding questions from senators about the Mueller investigation that ended in finding no collusion between the 2016 Trump campaign and Russia. Barr says a redacted version will be made public within a week, but would not include the following: grand jury material, security-sensitive intelligence information, anything that would impair existing prosecutions, or anything involving third parties not charged in the investigation. He says he's willing to work on a different report for congressional committees.
I intend to take up with the House and the Senate Judiciary Committees, the chair and the ranking members of each, what other areas, they feel they have a need to have access. The fact that information is classified doesn't mean that Congress can't see it.
Moving overseas, Benjamin Netanyahu appears to have done it again. Numbers so far have the Prime Minister winning his 5th term. It comes after a hard-fought battle against the leader of the blue and white party, Benny Gantz. As CBN's John Wagi reports from Tel Aviv, Netanyahu's task will now be to build a governing coalition and heal the scars of a very rough campaign.
When the voting stopped Tuesday night, Benny Gantz supporters prepared for an upset in the making. Their brand new party had a narrow lead in the polls. And in the Prime Minister's camp, it was so quiet, the media far outnumbered the Prime Minister's Likud faithful. But that had all changed by the wee hours of the morning.
Although the first exit poll showed a virtual dead heat between the pro-Bibi right and the anti-Bibi left, as the night wore on, the Prime Minister's supporters grew more hopeful that Bibi would be able to form the next government and become the longest-serving leader in Israel's history.
Even after 97% of the votes were counted Wednesday, less than a percentage point separated Likud from the blue and white party. Some have speculated that a unity government between Netanyahu and Gantz would help the country heal from a bitter election and respond to threats from Iran and Hamas.
The coalition, it's not clear yet because we need to see who are the parties that are in the game. So 2 days from now, we'll be smarter about the coalition. But one thing we know about, and for sure, Netanyahu is the next prime minister.
I intend to work quickly to establish a stable government. I want to make it clear, it will be a right-wing government, but I intend to be the prime minister of all Israeli citizens, right or left, Jews or non-Jews alike, all Israeli citizens.
Netanyahu has already phoned many probable partners in his latest coalition, almost certainly a government of the right. John Wagi, CBN News, Tel Aviv.
Thank you, John. A spike in cases of measles has New York City declaring a public health emergency. Officials there are requiring children be vaccinated and will fine parents up to $1,000 if they are not. The problem is growing in other parts of the country as well. 465 cases across 19 states. In some states, unvaccinated students are being told to stay home. Scientists have revealed the first image ever made of a black hole. More than 200 astronomers all over the world involved in the project revealed this stunning picture on Wednesday. The image shows a donut-like structure with a dark central region and a bright ring, which scientists say is the black hole shadow against a disk of glowing gas that falls onto the black hole. Researchers worked for 2 years to get the full picture through computer analysis. The results are being published in the Astrophysical Journal Letters. A reminder to check out our CBN News Daily podcast with Caitlin Berg. She gives a behind-the-scenes look at a key story in the news every day. You can find it at cbnnews.com on the show tab. Click on its title to listen and subscribe. Coming up, remembering a hero from a turning point in modern American history. The only living Doodles Raider passes away. More in a moment from America's greatest generation.
CBN presents The I Wills of God, your path to overcoming fear and anxiety.
We're going to talk about some of the incredible promises God has made to His children.
In Pat Robertson's newest teaching, you'll discover the I Wills of God. I will rescue him, protect him, answer him, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, satisfy him with long life, show him my salvation, and see amazing stories of God's promises in action.
What I felt was loved and treasured.
God spared my life twice in 3 days.
the good Lord had given me a second chance.
Break free from stress and despair.
The Lord doesn't want you to live in fear, but to know the rewards given to those who love God.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit CBN.com. The I Wills of God, your path to overcoming fear and anxiety.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
And welcome back to the CBN News Channel. The last of the Doolittle Raiders passed away in a military hospital in Texas this week. Richard Cole was one of the volunteers who flew a desperate mission to bomb Japan in April 1942, just months after the Pearl Harbor attacks. Cole was Colonel Jimmy Doolittle's co-pilot. They carried out their mission and then crash-landed in China, eventually managing to get back to the United States. Cole stayed active in his later years, taking part in events like the raid's 75th anniversary in 2017. He was 103 years old. Lieutenant General retired Jerry Boykin joins us now with more on Cole and Doolittle's Raiders. General Boykin, an end of an era with the passing of Richard Cole, right? General Boykin, can you hear me?
I hear you.
It's a real a passing of an era with his death.
Oh, indeed it is. You know, there's so much history that died with him.
Can you remind us of the mission that Doolittle and his men faced?
Yeah, 12th of April, the 18th of April, 1942, they took 16 B-25 bombers and bombed Tokyo and the surrounding area. Knowing that they couldn't get back to the carrier they took off from, 15 of the 16 planes landed in China, one landed in Russia, and 4 of the crew were killed. What was incredible about the whole thing is that they didn't know, first of all, if they were even going to be able to take off from a carrier, the USS Hornet. That was untried. Secondly, they knew they could not return to that carrier and that they were going to have to make landings in China, which they didn't know what to expect when they got to China. And in fact, Dan Cole himself was with Doolittle. He was the co-pilot with Doolittle, and they started to land on a Chinese air runway that turned the lights off because they thought they were actually Japanese planes. So, but then the other thing is that he then went to India and flew with the Flying Tigers, flying the hump or flying over the Himalayas, bringing aid to not only Chiang Kai-shek, but the American forces there in the jungles of Burma. So this guy had an incredible career that you won't find anything else like this guy.
Yourself having gone on many a dangerous mission, what is your reaction to what these men did back on April 18th, 1942?
Well, first of all, keep in mind that the Japanese were absolutely convinced that they were invulnerable, that nobody was going to be able to bomb them from the United States. Well, this proved them wrong, and they had assured the Japanese people that was the case. Well, this proved them wrong. It proved that they absolutely were vulnerable. It was a great psychological win, not only for the United States military, but for America as a whole, because we struck a blow right at the heart of Japan. And strategically, what that did is it forced the Japanese then to attack Midway Island. And we had the famous naval battle, the Battle of Midway. As a result of this attack on Tokyo, they wanted to strike back quickly and decisively. Well, what happened was they got defeated. We sunk their carriers. And that was essentially the demise of the Japanese Navy. And it all started with this raid that he was a part of.
General, how did their actions change the course of history and America as we know it?
Yeah, well, obviously it set the stage for the outcome of World War II, at least in the Pacific. It set the stage because, once again, it was the first of many bombing raids into Japan. Once it was proven that we could do it, and it ultimately terminated in the dropping of 2 atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and ultimately resulted in Japan being a very robust, progressive nation with a constitution, very much like the Constitution of the United States, and being strong American allies. But Doolittle and his people, including this very brave man that just died, they set the stage for that.
Yeah, well, General Boykin, as always, an honor to have you join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Still ahead, behind the fierce battle over the border, a real labor problem for some businesses. We'll take a look at an example among small business owners.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Superbook fans, here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da!
Whoa! No Super Falls, man. Come.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes too, and so much more. Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Discover the I wills of God. I will rescue him, protect him, answer him, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, satisfy him with long life, show him my salvation.
What I felt was loved and treasured.
God spared my life twice in 3 days.
The good Lord had given me a second chance.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit CBN.com. The I wills of God, the latest teaching from Pat Robertson.
And welcome back to the CBN News Channel. As the political battle over the southern border continues, the Department of Homeland Security issued more visas for temporary foreign workers. But as CBN's Ben Kennedy reports, that's still not enough for businesses struggling to find the labor they need.
In 1991, Jesse Bain started a landscaping company with the help of his family.
My boys have been helping me since they were little tiny.
It's grown into a successful business.
It was really small. We started at our home with a little shop out back, and now we come to work. I'm very proud of him.
Jesse didn't let a diagnosis of FSH muscular dystrophy at age 14 stop him.
When I first met him, he had a truck full of firewood. And he was just a guy with a lot of sheer determination.
A determination landing quality one 6-figure projects. That means more jobs and more workers.
We did go through a recruitment period where we had, I think we had 9 applicants, We had one show up for an interview.
So you're trying to hire American.
We are.
So the Bains had to look elsewhere.
And I was uneducated. I didn't know a whole lot about the foreign worker program. And I thought, like many Americans think today, guys are taking jobs. They're taking American jobs. No way.
Turns out the H-2B program is not like that. It's designed to let employers hire temporary foreign workers for non-agriculture jobs. Companies must also show attempts to hire American workers before applying. Created back in the 50s, H-2B is not an easy process. Employers must first submit applications, pay fees, then wait to be chosen through a lottery.
It's extensive. But anyway, we did that. And once we got our first workers, it was like heaven. It was heaven. They were at work every day. You could rely on them. They were eager to work.
Lately, getting help through it has proven difficult.
It's my understanding that that this fiscal year there were 33,000 available visas and upwards of 100,000 applicants just on that first day.
The Bains applied in December and then again this year for 15 workers, but did not get a single one.
We have no H-2B workers this year.
What does that mean for your business?
Realistically, we try to hire U.S., try to hire locally. Most of them will be unskilled or unreliable if we're able to find them.
This forced them to turn down business and leave new equipment sitting in the parking lot with no one to operate them.
We banked on them coming here because we're going to bring in more work and break off and expand into more trucks.
The H-2B visa cap of 66,000 workers a year was set more than 20 years ago. Congress just passed a bill allowing nearly 70,000 more visas to open up, but DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen limited that to only an additional 15,000.
I felt like God said, stop praying small, look up. And I realized that he began to expand my borders. And then my heart was for, not just for our workers, it was for every business that was in this crisis to get their workers. And then I saw that there was that opportunity that legislators, that Secretary Nielsen, she has the ability to release additional visas and kind of alleviate this.
Nielsen says Congress, not DHS, should be responsible for determining whether the annual numerical limitations for H-2B workers set by Congress needs to be modified, and by how much, and for setting parameters to ensure that enough workers are available to meet employers' temporary needs throughout the year. So while lawmakers debate what to do, companies like Quality One have this message for their customers.
I would tell my customers, no matter what happens, we're going to try our best. And one way or another, we will service our contracts. It might get messy for a little while, but it will get better, and we won't abandon them. We will get it done.
At this point, no decision has been made on Capitol Hill to change the visa cap. In the meantime, the Bains continue to turn down work. Just last month, they said no to a $100,000 job because they don't have the workers. Ben Kennedy, CBN News, the White House.
As the world watches from the outside,
it's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline, Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torres-Cedillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
Friends are helping friends. That's the theme of the new animated movie, Missing Link. Ephraim Graham has a preview from Studio 5.
Legend tells of a lost species, a link between man and beast. For centuries, he's lived in hiding, but at long last, he's reaching out and ready to be found.
Missing Link is about Bigfoot, America's legendary beast, and he is lonely and he wants to track down his long-lost relatives, the Yetis, who live in the Himalayas, of course. So he enlists the help of a world-renowned but not entirely successful explorer called Sir Lionel Frost.
I shall get you there to the place you belong, and in return, you'll get me to mine. Oh, yes. I'll prove the existence of not just one, but an entire evolutionary branch.
I just love seeing these two characters gradually start to get to know each other and understand each other and develop a friendship, and it's funny, and I enjoy that, and I also do love the fight scenes.
A monster!
Who's he calling the monster?
It was a fun thing to try to find that sweet spot of this character who doesn't know much about the world, but is willing to search the world for answers.
So let me see if I understand. You plan to travel around the world to the home of the Yeti. I know the secret ways through the mountain.
It's worth seeing it for the art alone. You could turn me down, just watch it. It's really, if you know the painstaking work that takes, it really makes you appreciate it even more.
He's a link to our past. Oh. A connection to our present. Oh. And a bridge to the future.
Oh. Ultimately, it's about finding your family, finding true friendship, finding the things that really matter in life.
Is it hot in here?
By all means, crack open the window.
Sherlock Holmes meets Indiana Jones chasing monsters. I mean, who doesn't want that?
Throw me out of the pit.
I think it might be a little too heavy.
Nonsense. Now, give it all you've got.
Oh, it's hard to know whose fault that was.
Looks like an interesting movie. That's it for this edition of NewsWatch. We hope you'll join us again next time. Have a great week. Have a great day. See you guys.